guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tuscany and today is part 2 of my Obsessed with Plaid series. So grab a cup of tea or a beverage of some sort and let's get into it. So today we're going to delve right into the mock-up process for my vest. Sadly, that means there's actually going to be no plaid in this video because I'm going to be using the white, boring mock-up fabric. But the mock-up process is very important, so let's get right into it. Now before we start, I do want to warn you that this is not a tutorial, so please do not take it as such. And if you do take it as a tutorial, then it will result in your demise. You've been warned. So initially when I started thinking of making a vest for this outfit, I wanted to do something kind of like a Hobbit vest. So I originally was going to use this pattern. There we go. And I actually used this pattern to make a Hobbit vest for my brother-in-law. And I just really liked it. I thought it was such a cute little pattern and just a simple, cute vest. However, when I tried tailoring it to myself, it did not go so well. I basically went with the draping method where I started off with the pattern, basic pattern, and sewed a garment from that, and then I tried kind of pinning it to my shape while it was on my form. Now this is not easy to do with only one person, and it did not turn out very well. In the end, it was honestly just very irritating, and I got so frustrated with it that I just decided to give up. So ironically, I've decided to use a more complicated pattern, and I'm going to try to make this into a vest. Now, did I learn that I'm not very good at altering things from the previous vest? No, I did not. So we're gonna give this a go and see how it works. However, as for right now, I actually need to run to work, so I will see you guys in a couple hours, though it's only going to be a few seconds for you guys. So see you then. Alright, it's Friday night. I just got home from work, had some dinner, poured myself a glass of wine, and got the pattern laid out for this vest that I'm gonna make. I am a little intimidated by this pattern. There's at least 8 or 9 pieces to put together, and I just saw that there are shoulder pads in this pattern, which I really have no understanding of or concept. Like, it's gonna take me a minute to wrap my brain around that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out some pieces, maybe start laying them where they should go in accordance with each other, and we'll go from there. So first thing I noticed with these pattern pieces for the new vest I'm trying out is that there's actually some curve. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's actually like, it curves out and then curves in and curves back out. And same with, over here, which is obviously loads better than the men's vest. So this is definitely something that might be a much better option. Alright, so I have the pattern pieces all laid out on the floor. They have been cut and ironed so that they lie flat. I have them laid out in vaguely the way they should kind of fit together. I'm starting to see how this works, but I'm still definitely intimidated. There's no denying that. And as you can see, I have not touched the shoulder pad pieces because no. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and read the instructions on this pattern and see what they say are the steps and how I should go about starting this, and then I'll probably start cutting out pieces tomorrow. I think what I'm going to do is go with the basic sizing that they have here and just try that. Then I'll tailor it to me once I actually have a garment. kind of put together. I have a theory that patterns weren't necessarily made for people to read. I mean, I suppose you could be properly trained and understand words, but to the layperson, this really makes no sense at all. All right, it's the next day. I still have the pattern in the same place I left it. I decided that if I cleaned it up last night, then I wouldn't want to work on it today. And I decided to stop working on it last night because it was getting a little late, and I had a couple glasses of wine, and I was tired, and then I ended up playing Zelda till 1:30 in the morning. Because I'm an adult. Anyway, so now that I am ready to go, it's already like 1 in the afternoon. I need to go to work in a couple hours. But I think I'm gonna get all the pieces cut out of fabric, out of my mock-up fabric, and try getting them put together-ish. We'll see how that goes. So, I don't know about you guys, but the second I get home from being out, I don't last much longer than 5 seconds in regular clothes, and I have to change into my pajamas instantly. So yeah, I'm obviously home from work, and I've got all the pieces cut out, so now I can actually start putting them together into something, and we will see what happens. So I got the curve of one side of the back sewn, and now I'm just going to be working on pinning the curve of the second side. And doing a curve like this is awful, to say the least. It is tedious and it takes some patience. So basically, as you can see here, I've cut some notches in the fabric, and I now have to try to straighten this curve out and even kind of curve it backwards so that I can flip this one upside down and have them match up, so that when you flip them right side up, then they fit the curve nicely like this side. Oh, you can't see that. Like this side.
Jane Austen's novels revolve around homes lost and mansions gained, the threat of poverty and the promise of wealth.
Alright, so mock-up is done. At least mock-up attempt number 1 for this pattern is done. And I'm quite happy with it so far. It looks kind of like a bag at the moment, especially on camera, but it is much better than my first attempt. So if I can close it, there we go. So the nice thing about this one is that it does follow my curves fairly well. Obviously, I need to take this in quite a bit. I'm going to take it in probably about 3 inches, and I also want to widen the neckline a bit so that I can have button-ups underneath it and have the collar show. So I'm probably going to take the neckline down here, which I have marked out already. I also need to shorten it because the waist for this garment is down here and my waist is up here. So I need to shorten it about 2 to 3 inches. I will measure exactly. I also need to fix this. I didn't allow enough seam allowance for this connection. I didn't even think about it when I was sewing it all together. There are so many pieces to sew together that I was kind of taking it one at a time, and that didn't work out very well. So I need to fix this, but that's okay because I need to take in the waist and the bust about I need to take in the waist about a 1/2 inch and the bust about 1 inch. And when I take the seam apart to do that, I can then fix this. And the hips fit fairly well. Obviously this thing in the back makes it a lot easier. You can see that it's supposed to be kind of frilly in the back, and I need to iron it so that it lies properly. I'm going to go ahead and alter it to some of those things that I specified, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I've made some adjustments to my pattern pieces. As you can see here, I've actually shortened the pieces quite a bit. And then I also decided to actually just keep this area, which folds out into the center of my chest. And I thought that I wanted to make it into more of a V-neck, but I've decided to keep this and actually fold it out into like a lapel. And here I've taken down the waist, and up here I've taken down the width of that shoulder area. Now here you can see I added a bit of paper just to extend that up a bit because it was just fitting a little funky under my arm and I needed just to add a little bit more fabric there. So now I get to try again, I guess. Alright, so now that I've gone through and altered the pattern itself, I'm gonna now just take the whole thing apart and then retrace the pattern onto it. It shouldn't be that much work. I think the biggest part is going to be undoing the vest itself and then tracing on the new pattern. Trying again. Also, I'm watching Victoria, well, rewatching Victoria. I haven't seen this 3rd season yet, so I'm rewatching it so that I can watch the 3rd season because it's so good. Alright, so here is second try for my mock-up, and I'm happy with the direction that it's going. It's definitely better than my first try. It suits my figure much better. The width of the shoulders is much better. I enjoy the look of the collar here, flipping that out, and I am happy with it overall, but there's still some tweaking that I need to do with it. It's very wide up here, and I still need to take it down at my waist just slightly. I think I need to deepen the darts along my bust because there's some puckering up here. And yeah, I think those are the main things that I need to work on, but I am happy with how it's going so far. I think this is much better than the first pattern that I tried, and I think I can actually make this work. So I'll catch up with you guys later. Hi, it has been a few weeks since I worked on the vest. I got a little frustrated with it and decided to take some time away and work on some other projects, hoping that that would clear my mind enough to get back to this and be able to work on it productively. So since I last chatted with you guys, I have made all the adjustments that I spoke of last time. However, I do think that I still need to deepen the darts a little bit more right here just because this is still puckering a little. I also went in and shortened this about 2 inches because I just thought it was too long on my frame, and I've been playing around with adding a collar and lapel. So if you can see here, I have been playing with different shapes, and I think I'm going to go with this one. Now seam allowance is still in there, so it will be smaller than this, but I'm going to add a notched collar. And this was the part that was really frustrating me the most, because it's definitely testing my knowledge and my sewing skills, but I think if I can do it well, and I'm definitely going to practice it a few more times, or I'm going to practice it on the mock-up fabric before I do it on the real fabric. But if I can execute it well, then I think it'll be a good decision and it'll look really good on the vest. So my next step is going to just be deepening those darts and adjusting that, and once I'm happy with that, then I'm going to go ahead and translate all that onto my pattern pieces, and then I can go ahead and start cutting out my final fabric. And yes, if you notice that my flat has been moved around a bit, it has, and that's mainly because I wanted more access to this table. I cleaned off the table so that I could really use it for cutting the final fabric, because I desperately need accuracy with this pattern, and having a raised hard surface is going to help with cutting those pieces out. So here we have that dart that I was discussing. This is the original dart, and this is what I've had to make it into for it to not pucker up here. I really don't understand who they're making this for. So here we have my finished pattern, adjusted pattern. It looks like a bit of a war zone, and it kind of was. But I think we've got everything sorted and ready to cut out in the final fabric. So each piece will need to be cut out twice, one for each side, and then I'll have to do the same with the lining fabric. But all that will be coming in the next video, which will be about me actually trying to make this vest well. So to wrap up, this mock-up has definitely been an adventure. And I think it's proved my point as to why mock-ups are so important. Had I just made this from the my plaid fabric that I'm going to use for the official vest, I think it would have been a disaster, and I would have wasted a lot of fabric, and I would have made more mistakes trying to cover up my mistakes. So I'm so happy that I did go through this mock-up process, but it was frustrating, and there were points where I did just want to give up, and I was constantly taking it apart. I don't know, I think I spent half the time on this mock-up ripping out seams, which was frustrating. If you have the material, then you could definitely just create different versions of the mock-up. But I don't have a whole lot of mock-up material, so it was important for me to reuse the material that I had in the vest. So I did have to keep taking it apart to reuse those pieces. And I also think that's an important thing to do, because it's not great to waste fabric if you're just going to throw it away. So if you can, then reuse fabric. And if you have old mock-ups that you don't need anymore, then definitely reuse the fabric from those. But yeah, it was an experience, and one that I think I needed to go through. And I think this is an important point to make. And Kathy Hay also discussed this in one of her videos, where sometimes it's important to slow down and even take a break, an extended break from a project that you're getting frustrated with. Because when you get frustrated with something, you end up just going in circles, and you end up trying to cut corners, and it's really never Like, it's never a good way to work on a project. Plus, you're getting a lot of bad feelings from working on a project that should be making you feel good. So I do think, you know, when I took a couple weeks off from my vest making, it did clear my head enough to come back to it and be like, oh, here's where I went wrong, these are the things that I need to fix, and it was easier to come back to it and be more zen with it. So my takeaways for this project are, do make a mock-up, it is very important. When you get frustrated, take a break, because you need that to clear your head and distance yourself from the project in order to see it properly. And 3, do not settle. Take the time to work on this project and make it the way you want it exactly. Do not just be like, you know what, that's okay, I can fix that later, or I'll live with it, because you're not going to. You want to make a garment that you actually are going to wear, so it's important to take the time to make the garment that you actually want to wear. Alright, done with the lecture. So next week we get to delve into the actual vest making process with my beautiful plaid, and I'm so excited to get started on that. If you have not seen the first part of the series, then you can definitely check that out right there. And if you have seen the first part of the series, then you know this plaid is fragile and takes hand sewing only, which is going to be fun for this vest because there's so many more pieces to put together. Go ahead and leave a comment below, like this video, or even subscribe if you want to. I hope you guys are staying sane, safe, and healthy, and I'll see y'all next time.